Let's start with you, Doc. Just tell us about, you released some data yesterday talking about, where we see ourselves. And that number that we just read is still shocking. It is, you wouldn't think that by 2030 we will be seeing numbers like that, especially when it comes to our children. What are we doing wrong?
I think that's a very good point. Actually, for our children, we've made remarkable progress. Yes. Prevention of mother-to-child transmission is one of the greatest successes, I would say, in recent years in terms of public health. It's the adolescents where we really have a problem. We're not doing well enough in terms of reducing the numbers of new infections in adolescent girls and boys occurring on an annual basis.
When we say adolescents, let's just be clear, what age group are we talking
10
about?
10 to 19,
okay.
Which covers the younger adolescent as well as
so we break that up into, when we say children younger, okay, just to understand.
Correct,
right. So what is happening? Why?
I think there are two problems with the way in which services are being delivered at present. First of all, we're not reaching adolescents well enough with prevention messaging, prevention programming. But on the flip side, we're also not getting the right people onto treatment. There are people living with HIV who still don't know their status. And if you don't know your status, you can't be on treatment. And if you're not on treatment, your virus levels remain high and you are more at risk of passing it on to others. So I think we have to work on both sides of the equation if we want to really see an end to new infections.
So part of the problem being they don't know?
They don't know, or they don't have access, or they don't want to test. And I think all of those represent challenges that we have to unpeel to be able to identify and get those folks on treatment, especially men.
Especially men, and those are men who we say seek the company or date younger girls.
Absolutely.
That's a big problem still.
Yeah. The work that has been done in South Africa has shown so clearly that is an important driver of new infections amongst young women and adolescent girls, and actually is an important driver of the epidemic in general. So really stopping that behavior, making sure that men have access to testing and treatment could be a very valuable intervention, in addition to giving girls the skills, tools, and understanding they need to be able to protect themselves as well.
Well, I want to go to the mind of an adolescent, somebody who was there at the age of 14, Sadie Brown. Sadie, we're talking about what these youngsters would possibly be going through. Let's talk a bit about your story, finding out at the age of 14. In not the most caring and sensitive manner, I would say, that you were HIV positive. Just a quick bit of your story there, if you can tell us.
Okay, so I found out about my HIV status at the age of 14 at a school trip. It was just around Youth Day. So the high school that I was attending was invited to this event, and I was one of the learners who were chosen to go represent the school. And we got there, and yeah, there were people from some other organization, and they came through and they told us that we do HIV testing and it's free, so if you'd like to come through and test, you can come. And obviously at 14, I am not dating, I'm not yet having any sexual intercourse. I'm like, let me just do it for the sake of making memories. And that is how I got to find out of my HIV status. And
tell us about your life as a 14-year-old dealing with that.
I kept it to myself for quite some time. I kept it to myself for about 6 months before having to disclose to my aunt. I remember because I wanted to tell her, but I was like, she's gonna ask me where I got it from. That was just me in my mind. She's gonna ask where I got it from, and I don't even know where I got it from. So just by me saying I don't know where I got it from was going to sound a bit shady in a way. So I just decided to keep it to myself, because even I was confused of where I had got it from. And yeah, it took me about 6 months, and then I first disclosed to my teacher, and then she's the one who took me home, and we both spoke to my aunt.
And what was the sort of dealing with that with the family after that as well, and the reaction, your friends, your classmates? Just tell us about that.
My family has always been okay with it. So just after that year, it was like we knew, but we were just not saying anything about it. It was more like an open secret. So we were not doing anything or not saying anything about it. Yeah, right until I was 18 years old. So that was like a 4-year gap, and I was not on treatment. I was not I was so deep in denial. I knew that I was living with HIV, but I was not doing anything about it. So at 18, my health started deteriorating. I started getting sores on my chest, and then they started moving up to my neck and my face. So obviously, because I was so deep in denial, it never even occurred to me that it could be HIV. I literally just went to the clinic when they started moving to my face, because I just wanted to be pretty, and I just got there.
Teenager,
yeah, I wanted to get there, and I was hoping that they'd give me like an ointment that I could apply so that these things can vanish. And because I forgot to mention that after telling my aunt back in 2009, she took me to the local clinic for a second opinion.
Okay.
So they had my records, and they told me that you came here 4 years back. You know that you tested positive for HIV.
And nobody told you?
No, I knew.
You mean it was back to
yeah.
that time? Okay. All right. Well, I want very quickly for you to read from a letter. There's a letter that you've written, and it starts off to say, these days I talk about HIV a lot. I'm doing it for all the AIDS orphans who are ashamed to talk about what happened to their parents. So that explains how you got it. But read what for you want the message you want to get across, Sadie.
Okay, so it's a very long letter, so I'm just going to read like about 2 paragraphs of where I was and where I am right now. There's one that says, I don't know if you are a curse or a punishment to my life. I've tried so much to live by the book. I've tried so much to behave, and yet you still managed to get me. Actually, my attempts to escape you were in vain, as I have always had you. I hate you for taking my happiness away. Because of you, there goes my happy days. Because of you, there goes my relationship with God. Because of you, life has spiraled out of control. Because of you, I feel less pretty. My confidence is tainted because of you. I am still very much alive. Most babies born with this virus die quite earlier. That just goes to show that I was born on this earth for a purpose, and not even 2 lines on an HIV test will bring me down.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, quite a profound letter, and I'm sure very cathartic for you also to have to put that down. Just a last word from you, Doc. Have we come a long way since 14-year-old Sadie? She's in her 20s now? Yeah.
We certainly have. The treatments are better. The options that we have for prevention are smarter. And I think we've made tremendous progress, right? Let's not deny that this is the world's 30th AIDS Day.
Yeah.
In those 3 decades, we've made a huge amount of progress. Millions of lives have been saved. Millions of people are on treatment, and millions of infections have been prevented. What our report shows, though, is that unless we ramp up this pace a little bit and supplement the work that we've done, we're not going to achieve the target of ending AIDS by 2030. Far from it.
Okay. Well, like she said, 2 lines, though, would not change your life. You can make that work for you. Thank you very much, Sadie and Doc, for your time. That's Deputy Chief of HIV Programming at UNICEF SA, Shafiq Essegi, and HIV activist Sadie Brown.